The new gun that was added to Battlefield 5 today is absolutely mad. And I wanted to start this video by throwing some numbers at you. Bear with me. 1200, 981 and 900. What are all these numbers? Well, these are the maximum firing rates of some of the fastest shooting guns in Battlefield 5. The MG42 can fire at 1200 rounds per minute. The Suomi can fire at 981 and the Thompson submachine gun at 900, all depending of course on the specializations that you choose and how you set these weapons up. Of course, the fastest of that particular bunch is the MG42 at 1200, which in anybody's book I think is extremely quick. Now though, after today there is another gun in Battlefield 5 that can fire at 1200 rounds per minute, but this one isn't a medium machine gun that you need to lie prone to use. It's not one that needs to be bipod. Oh no, this one is an SMG. So meet the brand new medic gun, the Nambu Type 2A. And I think that it's pretty hard to put into words how nuts this gun actually is, but I'm going to try. I'll do my best for you guys. First things first, the 1200 rounds per minute is a specialization option that you get when you level up this gun. The alternative is a larger magazine size which takes it up to 50 from its standard, which is 31. And get this, even in its standard form, unupgraded, the firing rate is still 1028. Essentially, the default rate of fire on this gun is quicker than the Suomi and Tommy guns upgraded RPM. That should tell you how fast this thing really is. Before I get too deep into the 2A's craziness in the game, a brief history lesson, because I'm sure you'll be wondering how accurate this gun really is compared to what it was like in real life. Well, the truth is, I've done a bit of research and I'm not too sure. So the gun existed, and while being called the Type 2A, it was also called the Type 1. And it was produced in the 1930s. Very few of these guns were made, but there was supposedly a variant of the Type 2 used for vehicle crews at the end of the war. And they say that this gun was one of the first SMGs to use the pistol grip as the magazine effectively. What I can't say for sure is if the rate of fire on the real weapon went up to 1200. There isn't all that much information on the Nambu Type 2A, other than the fact that it was an experimental gun, but most of the information that I found suggested the rate of fire to be around 600 to 800. Either way, it wasn't a gun that saw a lot, if any, combat in World War II, and as such, the information on it is a little bit scarce. So I can't say for sure if it didn't exist in that form in real life. Whichever way you look at it though, we have another SMG in the game, Japanese, and this one may as well be called Suomi 2.0 because I think that's what it is. Maybe it's my new favourite gun on the medic class though. So one of the biggest reasons that players like to use a gun like the Suomi is because of its rate of fire. The same can be said for the Tommy gun. Medics who like to play close range maps like Operation Underground, or perhaps even larger maps like Arras where they can stick to tight infantry areas like the town in the middle of the map, prefer to use those fast firing SMGs. The ones that really give you an advantage up close, and the 2A really has no match apart from a well-placed sniper shot to the face or a shotgun. Up close it will easily take out most other weapons, even without its upgraded rate of fire. Much like with the Suomi though, there is a trade-off. With the default firing rate, of course, you're still going to be quite weak at medium to long range. That's just the nature of SMGs in this game now. And of course, with the recent changes, it's had an even more profound effect on that. Having said that, with good tracking and gun control, you can still take people down at longer ranges with this gun. It's not a completely lost cause. With the standard rate of fire, if you opt for the 50 round mag, you've still got a decent amount of control at medium range, but when you opt for the faster firing rate, you absolutely do lose a lot of that control, as you would expect. What you can be though is an absolute monster up close. This thing drops people so fast that it's sometimes hard to keep up with yourself. Imagine having an MG42 level of firing rate but up close and you can hit fire with it. Of course those guns are vastly different in terms of the rounds that they fire, but I felt at times that 1200 RPM in the gun was just overkill. But does Battlefield 5 really need an SMG with such a high rate of fire? I'm not convinced that it does, to be honest, but I suppose that's debatable. Having a gun that fires so fast at close range It feels to me like it just messes with the balance of the game too much, in my opinion. In fact, at times I was using the gun, it did feel like the game couldn't keep up from a technical standpoint. And I know that that doesn't necessarily make sense, but sometimes the sound of the gun even felt that it was skipping a bit. And when you've got something that fires that fast, what kind of effect does it have on the netcode? And enemies potentially dying in what feels like one frame. Having said that, we've all experienced these things in Battlefield 5, so could just be related to that. Now, I don't want to say right now that this gun is overpowered and everyone will be using it, because we can't know that yet, but it is absolutely an amazing option for close range maps, and I'm expecting to see it a lot, and sadly probably be killed by it a lot too. You're always going to have different guns that people gravitate to, and before the gun changes, it's not like every single medic was using the Suomi, even though it was definitely one of the more popular options, so there's still hope. Also, these things definitely tend to get skewed a little bit early on, because over the next few weeks everyone will be unlocking and trying the Nambu out, and after that we can then gauge how many people choose to use it as their go-to everyday weapon on the medic class. And I mentioned this earlier, but the overall accuracy isn't great when you start to get out of that close range window, but the rate of fire definitely makes up for that, and the hip fire, especially if you spec into it, is crazy good. In fact, as I used this gun more and I got used to it, I was actually just hip firing at most ranges instead of actually aiming, which also makes your movement better and therefore you become harder to hit. So is this the K10 or Automatico of Battlefield 5? We'll see. I mean, the Automatico, that only had a rate of fire of 900, so it's hard to say. But I think having a gun that fires this fast after you've just changed the way that the gun balance works in an effort to slow down some of the gameplay, I'm not sure a gun like this makes a whole lot of sense there. But it's definitely fun to use, assuming you're not up against a whole team of enemies using it too. I've already covered some of them, but let's run through the specializations really quick. There are a few different options that you can go for here. You can either choose to go for rate of fire, taking you from 1028 RPM to 1200, or you can choose to upgrade the magazine size to 51 from 31. You can't have both, of course, and I think this really depends on how you want to use the gun and what ranges you're going to be engaging enemies at. I actually find the extended mags with the base rate of fire is a nice blend of incredibly fast rate of fire and capacity, so that's what I would go for longer term. So I started with improved ADS speed and then custom stock for improved accuracy and aimed fire, and then the extended mags, and finished off with the polished action, which lets you hip fire for longer. If you do opt to go down the left path, or left, you can get the 2 hip fire bonuses as well as the faster rate of fire, so hip fire becomes even better that way. I cannot overstate though just how good hip fire is with this gun and the mobility that you get. You can be wastering and just hosing down people. If you go down that left tree, so something like right, left, 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 you will just be dunking on people, especially if you've got like a good consistent tracking aim. You can quickly switch targets, take out multiple people, burst them down very fast with this thing. Don't sleep on that hipfire spec with this gun because it is dirty. So unlocking this medic monster unsurprisingly has you playing as a medic a lot in this week's Tides of War. It mainly revolves around reviving and healing teammates, with a few extras thrown in such as supplying ammo pouches as support and getting kills with the katana. The longest part of this week's challenge is to get 200 kills or revives as a squad. There were times early on when this didn't seem to be tracking for me though, in terms of giving me squad mates progression. But once I left the server and joined another, it started to work again, so bear that in mind. Overall, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this gun fits into the current meta of the game. And if it will just be a flash of the pan and everyone will be using it initially and annoying each other, or will it become a fast firing menace for the game? It's a classic case of really fun to use but hugely frustrating to play against, and I'm not sure which one is better. If medic guns are your thing though, hop on the game right now, get it unlocked and see what you think for yourself. One thing for sure though, multi-kills with this thing should not be a problem. I was just getting them accidentally by the end of the day. With that said, thank you so much for watching guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you've got the gun already, let me know your thoughts down below. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, a dislike, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.